Welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. And I don't know about you, but one of the things that I love doing is I love to eat. Over the years, I've noticed that some foods have a better flavor when certain seasonings are placed in them. Sometimes have food that too much salt is placed in it and oh, it tastes awful. Or there's certain things that because of how other things are in it, certain seasonings that are added into it, make it taste even worse. Though at the same time, we see that certain seasonings placed in moderation actually bring out flavor of certain foods and make them taste even better. As we take a look at God's Word, He points to the fact that we're like seasoning to our lives and to the lives of others. Certain things done in regulation and moderation are very important for our lives and how God continually calls us to work in the lives of other people. Hard to think of our lives being like salt, but at the same time, as we're nearing the season of winter, we notice that salt is a very important thing, especially placed on roads and sidewalks and other places, to make sure that ice melts in certain timing so that we're able to walk, to drive, to do what we need to live life as we need to live it. Now, as we continue to study through the Bible, we notice that the theme of seasonings is something very important. The more that we study this, the more that we see that God calls us to be this seasoning for Him in the lives of other people around us. Today's verse that we're taking a look at comes from Mark chapter 9 in verse 50. Mark chapter 9, verse 50, the very last verse of the chapter says this. It says, "Salt is good, but if the salt becomes unsalty, with what will you make it salty again? Have salt in yourself and be at peace with one another." It's right, isn't it? If salt or any type of seasoning loses their essence, all they're good for is just to be thrown out, to be thrown on the ground, that it won't even, the salt, if it loses itself, it won't even be of help to melt the ice. God tells us to be the same, just like intense salt, intense seasoning that brings out the flavor, that melts ice, that does other things, to make sure that we don't lose the elements of what the seasoning is, and that we go and that we season others' life with what God has given us. Because this is part of our gift from God to go and to give to other people. But even more, I hope you notice the last part of that verse where it says, "and be at peace." This is a bridge into other chapters and in other thoughts and dialogues. We might talk about this one day. But right here, as we're living out our lives, letting Jesus live out His life through us, we're to call people to continual peace no matter what, and to glorify the name of God above anything else, making sure that He is number one in and through all things. Thank you again for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next time as we continue to study God's Word together. God bless.